Good morning. We live here. I hope everyone can hear me. Kind of working with the connection here. It's not the best, so if it does cut out from time to time, bear with me. It'll always come back in. Happy Sunday morning. It's a good day. I'm gonna do a little live here. I invited Mr. James Buddy Cook. Shout out to you. Inspiration looks like a growing part in the micromobility family. I know him, met him in Heartland, and I saw him prior with some of his input and addition to the content involved with micromobility. He's down in southeast or kind of mid Florida. I've been meaning to get down there to see him, but it hasn't linked up yet. I'm not going to bring up politics on this channel, but just briefly I'll hit wave tops of why I've been busy and haven't created as much content. I have many likes, many concerns, and much involvement in a broad spectrum of things. Being an author, involved with the local political scene, trying to help this country in any way I can, trying to do it freely and trying to do it low cost. I do believe in this country wholeheartedly. That being said, that's all I'm going to get in there. I've just been busy with other things as folks usually say, too many pokers in the fire. Sometimes you got to pull a few out. You got to iron them out, perfect them, hand them off. So I'm back today just to kind of take a break from all that. We had a very busy weekend last weekend, a lot of events, a lot of candidates. So today I'm just taking a breather. It's just me and you. And if I think I invited Mr. James, he may not be awake yet. It's 10:08 on a Sunday. Most folks are enjoying some of that hard-earned rest or just a break, or they're visiting the spiritual realm, or just out recreating. My church is up here, and I don't wear it on my sleeve, but I have deeply rooted beliefs, each to their own. But let's go ahead and get a little sip of coffee. I need to get a warm up. It's a little cold. So bear with me. I'm all set up to kind of do what I was planning on doing today, which is to reinstall, which I put in the live description. It's just a simple thing, and then I can sit here and riff with you a little bit and just have a conversation and talk about, micromobility segment. Let's talk about, oh, great, I'm spilling coffee at 10 o'clock in the morning. At least it's not on me. Don't you always love when you have a brimming cup of coffee and you hit a speed bump? Love that. So anyway, just today is just riffing, saying hi, thanking some of the viewers and those out there that are interested in my life. It's not that interesting. I'm just your average guy. Nothing special about me. But I do try to use my life for the good of others, and I will continue to do that for probably the rest of my life. But anyway, back to kind of, oh wow, my old Vans. Let me switch you around. These are my second pair of Vans. They're called New School. the reason I like them, they're getting raggedy now, but they're still my favorite pair of shoes because they have this strip right here, and it's like a stiff underlayer of plastic, and it's kind of gushy. And then you can see how thick the padding is on these, and then I leave them nice and loose like that. As you can see, they are getting close. I'll wear them till there are holes in them. But these are my favorites because when I do bail, when I'm out recreating, this takes a lot of the brunt when you do scrape, and that's why I got these, because they have a lot of padding. And then also I leave them loose, that way when I do bail, I don't get stuck with a board, and I can, when I do bail, I can just fall free. And oftentimes when you see skateboarders or, people doing, not extravagant things, just out recreating on whatever platform, could be a bike. And oftentimes you see a bad bail, and you'll see shoes fly in the air. And that's, there might be a purpose to that. And for my purpose, it's so I don't get stuck to the machine. So the less things I have hanging loose that can hang up on a pedal or a peg or whatever, and then my shoes go flying, and then I can roll free. Yeah, so those are my old shoes. Those are some good shoes. Good job, Vans. Anyway, they fit the micromobility segment because of, and they work with legacy skateboards too. But for me, they're good for the micromobility segment. All right, so here is, just go over this real quick. This is one of the variants that EcoMobile provides. It's the Walker. They just came out with the ET 2.0 Pro, which kind of follows in the footsteps of this one. And then you got the Mini here as well, which is just a short version of the Walker. And if you watch my channel a few times, I've said this is my cafe hopper. I'll throw that. Like if you have a sports car like a Corvette or a Rari or Lambo or whatever your sports choice is, that would be my choice to throw in the frunk if you have a frunk or a small trunk like a Corvette. And then this one also would be a good fit. And then what I do is when I go out on my travels, cafe hopping, I do right. So I do find, it's kind of a cliche, I get it, but if you're a writer, you'll understand. When you find a place that has good aura, and I want to sit down and I'll write a few chapters. That's what I use to get from maybe the outskirts of the town, and then I can get in and explore in greater detail and at a slower pace than if you're jamming in a car, looking for pedestrians, stopping at stoplights, and also dealing with pay for parking across this great nation that has sadly monopolized all of our cities and towns. I gravitate away from that, but it's an evil. I wouldn't really call it necessary. It's just that our legislators and local program managers have not managed to find a way to function in their towns and cities without penalizing citizens for using public space, which is our towns. Anyway, I could riff on that for like 3 hours as well, and I'm sure there's a lot of local folks that are not in legislation or not involved in politics that have the same sentiment. Anyway, all right, so riffing on that. So those are the two boards. Those are my cafe hoppers. And I was going to say, EcoMobile just came out with a new variant of the ET 2.0 Pro. And the reason I brought that up is if you look, that the skeletons of this board that I made, this is the ET 2, the older variant. And if you look, it's got solid trucks. It's got the lighting system. It's just like a beefed up legacy board in the front. But then if you look back, you've got the battery pack, the LEDs run along the side. And then, of course, I added the big wheels, and then I got some adapters built out so that I could still attach to the drive system, which is the three-geared planetary gear system they run on these boards, which it's a great innovation for this sector, the micromobility sector. And then back here, it's very similar pivot cup system that you will see. It's just beefed up a little bit stronger. The key takeaway I wanted to show that was to make a platform that's strong enough to run, what are these? These are 205 30 12s. So to run 12s that are heavy, like I try to lift this darn thing. Oh, it's a brick. So to build a platform, that's kind of my test to see, okay, what you got, EcoMobile? What you got on your drive system? Can you handle 12s? It is two-wheel drive. So anyway, long story short is they just came out with a new one, different battery system, lighter, I believe, because it's made out of, it sounds like carbon fiber. I haven't ridden it yet. I will. My intent is to get one eventually. But my segment primarily that brings me joy right now is the mountain board sector because of the beefy suspension, the big solid tires, four-wheel drive. Here's the ECUs, the controller part, electronics right there. Battery box down here. That's my meat and potatoes right now because that's what brings me joy. I do things that bring me joy. Go figure. But that EcoMobile's new ET is looking good. I like the looks of it. I'll have to give it a try. And then they just are about to drop. They just announced it. They're dropping a brand new. It's like I'd say it's a hybrid of this, which is the Walker bamboo deck. So it's like a between half and half between the ET Pro and that Walker. So it kind of melds that world, which I like it. I want to see it. I saw pictures of it. I want to ride it. I want to see what it's got going on. I don't know if I'll be able to get one of those before Heartland PEV Festival this summer, this September. But we'll see what happens there. Shout out to Mr. Keith Beadle. He is one of the compatriots, one of the two, and Rob is the other, that have created this nonprofit up in Ohio. If you've ever been to Ohio, I hadn't until last year. Great place. There's a place called Buckeye Lake. It's just north of the big city there. The nice big lake, nice trails that go around it. Very good community, very embracive. They embrace this micro mobility because we, support the town, and we're not going out there and causing havoc. We're just recreating and having fun safely with good people. Anyway, so this gentleman, I want to give a shout out to him. They have Hearts of Gold. Something they have created is a gem in this segment because they're trying to keep it low cost. They're trying to make sure it's inclusive. And I absolutely, anything of that nature, I throw my weight behind 100%. Because there's too much consumerism and just commercial. Everybody blows, just like, back in the day when they had the big concerts. They started free, they grew and they grew and they grew, and just like Burning Man, it becomes corporate, and then it begins to lock people out, and then I just don't like that feeling, so I stay away. I gravitate away from that. But anyway, enough on that. I can show you a couple other platforms that I run if you haven't seen my channel before. My favorite, as I've said before, is the Evo Pro that I'm riding right now. Last ride I did was down in, I don't know if you ever heard of Destin, Florida. They have just some of the pristine water in this area, just clear to the bottom. And that's what I'm riding, the the Waydo Evo Pro, which is the e-foil that obviously it comes up out of the water probably around, I don't know what the mast is, like 3 feet, 2 feet. And then you get up out of the water and you're just skimming across and it's quiet, calm. You don't get disturbed by a lot of the waves. You're just cruising. So that's kind of my favorite right now. I'll get back out on the trail. Just been, like I said earlier, I've been busy. It's campaign season, and I'm involving myself with trying to support some of the good causes and good people that are running for office, because that's where it starts. It's getting good people in there. Okay, so the whole purpose of this live is just to have a chat with you. Jonathan Fields, good to see you. Hey, Peter. My gosh, Peter Hatchie. Backstory. Met Peter Hatchie in, of all places, if you care, Grants Pass, Oregon, back in, gosh, I want to say mid-90s. He grew up on a street that my dad was working on, and I met his sister. We're still friends to this day. And we used to actually play cops and robbers and all the good kid stuff back on his street. And now I believe he's in the Army, so good for you, buddy. It's good to see you having success. Keep grinding. We need good people, especially in the Army, continuing to keep our country moving forward and keep us strong. You know, make us go into mass millennium. Just keep going, because I think we've got a good thing started on this earth. And then Jonathan Fields, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining. A lot of you folks that do watch, you may not be live with me now, but maybe you'll watch it later. Thanks for some of your input. I've had some questions through the years of, things with the micromobility, like, because as you can see here, I have this broke down, and sometimes I'm not always the smartest guy in the room, but I'll listen. And that's a good thing about most folks that want to learn. So when I do rip a platform apart, I often reach out to somebody's an expert. Everybody's an expert in something. So I'll reach out and I'll ask a question, and by gosh, if I have an Army question, Peter, you're there. Mr. Fields, if I have it, I think I've asked you something before. And then Michael Stevenson, hey, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining. I'm just riffing here a little bit. I haven't got into the actual purpose, which is to put a motor back on. I call it my beast. This is my jump beast. If you look at and I'm not promoting anything, I just like being and spending time with you guys. But this beast, the reason I call it the beast is this is the one that I took to Heartland PV Fest up in Ohio last year, and I did like I want to say like a 9-foot jump or 10-foot jump with it. I landed it, and through the years I've done huge jumps with this thing, and goes to figure, it needs a little maintenance. So I decided to crack the motors open. I'm going to, when I'm done, this is the replacement, because I'm hard on this board. This is my test mule. If I could throw it in the lake and get away with it, I would try it. But probably get yelled at by EcoMobile. But EcoMobile's been very kind to me, and I want to be respectful to their brand. They have a very great brand. This is the new, I'll show my address there. This is the new motor that came in the mail. So I haven't done this swap before. I have it off, so bear with me. It might be a little bit rough. Because I don't have shrink wrap. I know I'm going to have to re-shrink wrap the leads. So I'll work up to the point of the shrink wrap probably, and then get it test fitted. I might do a little test run to make sure it performs properly. And then later, when I'm done with this live, I'll go ahead and button it up, get all the shrink wrap on it, and then I'll do a little show ride and show you the success, hopefully, right? I'm kind of looking at the repairability of these platforms. So far, it's good. It's plug and play. And I'm still kind of wondering with this motor, we'll see. how set up it is and ready to plug in and just go as it is. I may have to remove some of this shrink wrap and this little seal, and I don't know about the plugs. I don't know if I will have to solder. So more to follow. But anyway, so that's kind of the gist of today, and just to riff and chat with you folks, some of the good patrons of the micromobility segment. Here's real quick. I have a friend here local. I'm not going to throw his name out because he likes to be kind of private, but he has offered to start introducing me to the wind segment, which is kind of in preparation for me for the eVTOL, which is the vertical takeoff, the electric vertical takeoff with 4 propellers, like a human drone. So this gentleman we met, and he was flying on the dunes with a kite. So I'm going to, as soon as we get the chance, I want to get him on the Wadu, the eFoil. He wants, he's got a boat, so we'll probably work together, and I'm going to start learning the air portion of recreation. Like I said, that will prep me for these electric vertical takeoff vehicles that are coming down the pipeline. Right now, this is probably the most wild thing that I have. As you can see, it's kind of like a mini, like I wouldn't call it a snowmobile, but it's similar. It's a little bit beefier, heavier. I'm sure as the next generations of this come along, they will lighten it up. This is pretty heavy bricks, about 400 pounds. It still goes good, goes fast, like 28. And then as you can see, it's got a drive sprocket, your motors in there, and then it's driven by chain. I would be interested to see in the future if there's some way they could rig a direct drive or do a planetary gear system like the EcoMobile boards have, because that would, one, it would quiet it down, it would make it lighter and probably a little more, it's dependable, but I prefer direct drive things, just like cars and everything else, is less stuff to break. I ride this around a lot. I ride it on the streets. I ride it on grass. I ride it on everything, and you can see the track has held up very well. Quite a suspension they have. They've got dual shocks there with springs. And I do need to probably go in and do some maintenance and grease. There's a little grease thing there. So before I take it out next time, I'll probably do that. Then you got your all your rollers. But yeah, quite a machine. Your battery sits down here. I'm excited. They have little servos here, back and front, that tilt like this with your weight, and that is what controls your track speed and helps you turn just like a Caterpillar or any tracked vehicle. The cool thing is it's got a little trailer hitch, so if I wanted to hook something up, say you want to go fishing on the beach somewhere where a good spot that nobody can get to because of the conditions, you can hop on this little bugger, hook up your little fishing wagon with all your poles and stuff, and off you go. So I'm waiting to embrace that. I haven't got to that point yet. But that's it's got a little brush guard. I was thinking it'd be fun to put a snow plow, and you could go out and plow your driveway if you have a big driveway. There's a lot of things you could do with this to adapt it to, but for now I'm testing it out. And shout out to the company's called Lucky Ram, and there was a gas powered variant of this about, I want to say like 6 or some years ago. They made a gas variant. That was a start, and it was kind of a niche thing. What didn't really catch on, and now they came out with the electric variant. And I'm hoping the company sticks around long enough to come up with a 2, 3, and 4th generation, because that, just like snow machines, snowmobiles, or any of these platforms, just like electric cars, Tesla, and all these other ones China is making, and you see the different, obviously we all see it, the generations as they go, they just get wild. So I could only imagine this machine when it comes to, like, say, if it makes it to the 5th generation, just like Snow Machine, it'll get lighter, it'll get more powerful. The battery's progress, hopefully, will get there, the solid state. The key that would be really fun with this platform is to lighten it up about 200 pounds, increase the distance on it. It's not bad for distance, but it could be better because of our battery tech. But I'm not going to, I want to thank Lucky Ram. That's the company that makes this. And they make it's a great product. A lot of time, you can tell, and investment and, R&D, research development, and everything went into this. And like I said, if you could lower the weight, it's got plenty of power, plenty of torque. Maybe try and figure out a direct drive system. There's a few things that can be adjusted with this platform that would make it absolutely just a phenomenal platform. It already is for the time that we're in, but with all things that you can improve them. Anyway, and here's my little jump systems. I kind of let my kids use these. Little shout out to Ninja boards. I don't put the big ones on that per se, but I will test out the little ones. That's how I kind of warm up for some of the more extreme things I do. Start small and then build up on it. So I'll use those just to kind of test the platforms too, and see, if I can go over a 1.5 foot jump with one of these cafe boards or one of the street boards, and it doesn't break, hey, I trust it a little more. That's why I'm always testing. All right, so without further ado, I'll stop running my face. I'm gonna go ahead and invite you in here to see what I'm doing over here as far as maintenance. Let's go ahead and have another sip of coffee. Cheers. Mr. Stevenson, still there. Mr. Fields, good to see you. Peter. Where are you at, Peter? If you could comment. We kind of lost touch for a while. I did see you sporadically from time to time with your career. And you were always, I remember when we were playing Army Soldier and in the fields back in our childhood, I remember you were always, I want to go in the Army. And I always thought to myself, why would you want to go in the Army? And then here I am 25 years later, 26 years later, a veteran, 20-year veteran of the Marine Corps, and there's Peter in the Army. So it's weird how we probably influenced each other, perhaps. Anyway. All right, coffee done. Here's the package. Let's go ahead. Can you all see? Let me get you in here a little closer. I'm going to stop showing my ugly face a little bit more and just kind of get into this process. Let's get a little room. This is the tire that goes on there. They are solid. And I have run these super hard. And as you can see, didn't even phase them. Not even. I've spun them. I've jumped them. I've done everything I can think of besides jump it into a lake. And they survived. So I was waiting for this to happen, which was the solid tires. Boom, it happened. Okay, so old motor, we're kind of looking at repairability here. As you can see, if you just logged on, these are planetary gears. 1, 2, 3. You have pins that go in, hold them in place, isolate them. They do have bearings on them, and then you have your center pin that this is your motor. So you got all your windings, your copper windings inside here, and then it has a central post that sticks through and engages your planetary gears, and that's what is really good about this drive system because it gives you a lot of torque. And when I'm doing events or I'm want some torque with this motor, it's there. With just a direct drive with just the electric motor, we're not quite to the point of where you can get enough torque, because you want, say you're doing a jump and you're not doing it crazy, you're just on a trail, you see a jump coming up, and you have to have a little bit of force to get through it. It could be a swamp or whatever too, muddy trail. To have that torque, sitting in your trunk, that comes with a car or anything that you're driving, and being able to access it at the spur of the moment. Belts do it similarly, but there's a little bit of a, when I've driven belts, they're getting better. I don't like belts. They are kind of like that, but these just are simplistic. So like I was saying, when you need that torque, I want to be able to just hit it. It's just like if you're in a four-wheel drive and you're up in the hills, or you're in a sports car and you want to drift, you want to break it loose, you want that horsepower to kick you through, and that's what these do. So I put it in fourth gear, is 1 through 4, and then I'll hit it, and that'll either pop me up, or most people, I don't recommend doing this. I'm not professional. I've worked up to this, but if I hit a 10-foot jump, say, the way I like to do it is you get a nice run, nice smooth run, you get your line, kind of like surfing, and you make sure you're straight, because you can hurt yourself on these. And then right at, I'd say within the 5-foot gap between where you hit the jump, where you start going vertical, is where I want to hit that horsepower hard, because it'll give you a little pop, and then that's where you get that weightlessness. You break free of the gravity, and you kind of hit that apex like you're flying. And that's what helps you make it through the air and be able to adjust and then plan for your landing. So that's why I like that torque, because it gives you that extra second or two of, it gets you up, you can focus, you can kind of start planning for that landing, because it happens quick. It keeps your senses really sharp. And then you land, and you can power right on through it. That is why, and it's instant. No delay. With these belts, I've felt a little delay in your trigger response. I don't know what that is. It might be just because of the belt has a little bit of give. With this direct drive system, it's quick, and that's what I like. Everybody has their preference, but I usually I try to run with the best. As a aviation mechanic, there's no room for error. It has to be perfect. So anything that I find has to be as close, just like with an aircraft. You don't want to mess around with aircraft engines, because that's when you end up in a field in a smashed up ball. Anyway, so back to that, just a little explanation. Hi, Antonio Gard. Welcome. Good to see you. Anyway, so happy Sunday again. Let's go ahead and check out this new motor that I got shipped out. Thank you, Ego Mobile, for getting it here quick. I just have been busy, or I would have gotten this on the board sooner. But like I mentioned, just been a busy week. Oh, and my 2 books, my new book just came out. So yeah, I've been busy. A lot going on. I wish James Buddy Cook would hop on here. He's my buddy from down in mid Florida. You might see some of his content on here. Okay, so I'm glad I waited on the shrink wrap, because it looks like, yeah, they provided shrink wrap. Good job. Hey, Edward, good to see you, buddy. So here we go. Here's the shrink wrap. And so they gave us 3. So if you look here, that's how many we need. 1, 2, 3. And then you got your plug that should come with the new platform. I am gonna have to probably remove this. So we'll see how deep I have to dig into this pigtail to see. I think there's a plug right here. So I'll probably just take this shrink wrap, cut it off, hopefully unplug this pigtail, And then I can get this. This is what covers your motor. Oh, by the way, here's a little stop pin. It looks like, oh, see, ooh, these are hard to find. These are little stop pins, and what they do is they go right here. And if you've ever had a spun bearing on a car, any vehicle that runs a bearing, that's what you don't want, because what it does is it'll spin freely in the hub, and then it'll tear up your wall, and then it'll freeze, and then you come to a stop, and you won't go anywhere. And you will probably keep flying. But anyway, this little pin goes right in there, like so, and then it engages with your hub, and that prevents it from spinning and causing a spun hub or bearing. So they gave 2 of those because obviously they're small, and I'm probably going to drop one somewhere down into the abyss. But anyway, so yeah, that's good. Good to see they included those extra parts. I like to see that. If you look here, here's the hub. If you don't, I'm trying to show you so you understand how this works. So here, your motor goes in, think like that. Anyway, it goes one way. It goes inside. And if you look here, inside the hub, I don't know if you can see that, there's that little slot. That is where this little pin slots into that slot, and then slots into that part I just showed you, and locks it in nice and tight. That's imperative to have that. Like I said, and it prolongs the life of your bearings. I need to do some cleaning on this. Look at that. That's probably a little bit of Ohio over there. That's probably some Tennessee up there. That's some Alabama. That's probably some Georgia. A lot of Florida. All over. Okay. Let's go ahead and pop this motor out. I don't know if y'all can see that. Hey, you gotta pop some. Oh, I won't pop. Oh, I got one. Gotta pop some bubble wrap. Satisfying, right? Pop. All right. Another right. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison so you can kind of see. So old, new. If you look in, this grease is needing, just like an oil change, it needs to be updated. But since I'm replacing it, I'm actually gonna investigate this motor, and I'm gonna try to develop some repairabilities. Coming from the aviation sector, there's gonna have to be a puller to get this center part out, and then also a puller to get these outer bearings. So I'm gonna see if it's worth developing myself some type of tooling, so that you can get deeper in on this repair process. But for now, the parts are cheap enough to where I really don't want to have to mess with this. So for now, I just swapped out the motor. If you look at this motor, see how it has shrink wrap right here? And then see how this shrink wrap, they did it, looks like a better job with the shrink wrap on this motor. It stuck it out farther, so it'll hopefully last longer. Here are the leads. You can see it's going to plug into this pigtail. This is a pigtail that I'll go ahead and take off like I told you, because there's a plug probably right there. And then that'll go on there. There's your plug. I see here. I got to take off this seal, but it's the same style plug, so I'm going to have to take this off and install it on here. And that will bring some of my waterproofing along to the next platform. So we'll go ahead and hang on to that. And then, yeah, so it looks good. I'm gonna do a little inspection on it. I do see grease in there, and if you look, they didn't over grease it. They just looks like a dollop on each corner. And as you see it turn, there's your gear system. So like I was saying before, pin, 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 holds those 3 gears in place, your center gear, and then it looks like it has a snap ring. Oh, you know something I just noticed? This motor, see how it doesn't have a snap ring on top? So, you know what that tells me? I'm going to investigate more, but that tells me what probably caused my issue is that snap ring. When I do my jumps, I probably popped a snap ring. So I'll work with R&D with EcoMobile and we'll work through that. As I mentioned, they picked me up as their kind of their product ambassador a little bit. So they're a great company. They work great with R&D, research and development, and any issues that come up on the platforms and try to improve them. So that'll be something I'll take up with the team and work through and hopefully find a solution for. But yeah, so it looks good. Same motor, same color, all the same hookups. So let's go ahead and put this off to the side. It's thanks for joining. Edward, good to see you again. Mr. Sean Kennedy, hey buddy. You're making noise. Good to see you, brother. And I'm trying to help the community. I'm all about giving back. I'm all about keeping this community affordable, at most free, so that we can all enjoy it and have a healthy way to, enrich our lives with recreation that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. You don't have to buy to get into it. That's why I love this community. Sean, good to see you, buddy. Just make sure. A lot of people on. Thanks for watching. Peter, still good to see you, buddy. But it's time for another sip of coffee. It's a good Sunday morning. I might go out and ride this later, so I'll do a little shot. I've been busy in the political realm, campaigning, so I'm not going to bring that up on my channel. I know it's about as palatable to some folks as horse manure, so I'm not going to bring it up. I'm just here to chat. That's for different people, different folks. Anyway, just keep it neutral. So, cup of coffee. Hope you all had your cup of coffee. And my next process, it looks like here, as I mentioned, is working through getting the pigtail off. I call it a pigtail because it's going to go back on the new platform. It's the wire pigtail, essentially, because it looks like a pigtail. And then, so here is this is the seal that goes into, hope y'all can see this. Seal that goes into this is your nut. Pretty much what gets your water tightness or water keeps everything out. This will, just like a plumbing pipe kind of thing, it'll go in there and then it'll squeeze on this part over on the board. So I've got to get that off. I've got to salvage that. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and do some surgery on this pigtail without cutting myself and see what we're working with. I don't want to damage any of the internals, so I'm going to be very careful here. I'm being cautious because I've never done this, so it's probably just the same thing as this, but I am going to be abundantly cautious. I don't know if that bend is intentional or if I did that. So I'm going to kind of check that out as well. Come on, man. I don't want to cut myself. That'd be bad. Ooh, see, I cut the wire. Gosh, darn it. See, that's why I was trying to be careful, but I hope I don't have to order another. See, you're learning with me. Oh, no. At least I didn't cut this little wire. That would be the bad one. I can put some glue or something on that. I try to be careful with this because I'm gonna have to reuse it. So I'm just lightly perforating that. That worked. That's what I should have done to begin with. See, I did. I goofed up. See that cut? I don't like that. Oh, wish I hadn't done that. Lesson learned, guys. Just gonna lightly score that. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh well. You're live, man. You're seeing it. Okay, so my connectors looks like they're all bent up, or actually up here. So, lightly go in there. Being careful not to cut myself. With jet aviation, I'm probably better at this cutting than most because I did it for a career, and you do a lot of this in jet aviation with cutting of razor blades of different materials to just do exactly what I'm doing, which is explore, move it, and move on. Barely getting in there, keeping my fingers out of the way. So right now, like I said, I'm just kind of exploring in here to see what we are working with because I've never done this. Next time, obviously, I'll be better at this. So bear with me as I struggle to get this off. Okay, so guess what? I'm just going to continue to get this off to show the viewer what we're working with and why I probably didn't need to do this. But I did goof up my wire, which I'm not completely excited about. I never like to destroy the OEM, which is the original wiring. If you can, you don't want to disturb your original. So I did end up cutting the wire. What I would do, since I didn't cut any of yeah, I did. So if I did reuse this motor, I would get a little bit of solder. I would solder that back, and then I would go ahead and either shrink wrap it, waterproof it in some way, and you could probably reuse this. I'm upset with myself for doing that, just so you know. As a mechanic, I'm very upset, but at myself. The reason I do have to take this off, however, is because I do need to get this off, which is essentially your axle connector. This connects to your axle over here on the board. It goes right in here, and that is what attaches your wheel. So this is important to gear. This is like they call it the God nut on a helicopter. It's like your one nut that keeps your rotor on. This is kind of like that for these boards. So I want to keep this motor intact because I want to experiment on it, and I want to see if it's worth going in for the repair, or if it's just now a desk display item to stare at and go, ooh. All right, let's get this off. So we'll pull these little pigtails out. I'm going to remember the direction of this, and I'm going to put these in order of removal so that when I do put them back on, they go in the same order. All right, there's that. Here comes this is your nut, like I showed you. just, looks like just enough room to get this plug through. Let's see. Yep, wow, tight fit, but it worked. All right, there's that. So the good thing, as I was saying before, is this came with a whole new cord, so that's why I'm not too totally upset that I cut it. But all in the same, I don't like cutting things. So this is all really just really ready to go. All I have to do is put this on, put my axle attach point on. This is always fun of how they engineer the fit of the tolerance. See, that's what I like. With aviation, you like tight tolerances because that usually means less chance of issues and also makes it smoother so that the tight tolerance of that little connector is, yeah, good job. Okay, so let's go ahead and, so this motor is out. So we've got it out. Let's go ahead and set that off to the side. And let's chat again as I do some corrosion prevention. Hi all. Good to see you. As I just showed you, removed the axle part. This mates up to this. The tire goes like this on there. This goes like so. You screw that on, and then this attaches to the axle or the truck of the board. So that's kind of how that fits in. So right now, all I'm doing is taking a break, having another sip of coffee. Hope you have a cup of coffee on Sunday morning. And doing some corrosion work on axle. It's past due that I do some maintenance on this board. I smile because I beat the heck out of it. And it's kind of the board saying, okay, time to go back, put it on the bench, get some grease, break out the grease. I just, in case you care, this is what I'm going to use for my greasing. I don't know if I'm going to add a new batch of grease to this new motor. I might just put another couple drops at each point just to, you don't want to overfill it just like your car with overfilling with oil, because what it'll do is it'll blow a seal because it'll be overpressurized. And I don't want to overpressurize the gear system. I want it just to run freely. So this is the grease I'm going to use. I may talk to EcoMobile prior to using this because they may have a preference. I picked up its synthetic grease. So we all run synthetic for the most part in our cars. I'm just gonna check to make sure, because once you put the grease in it, you're not going to get it out unless you do a full flush, and I don't want to do a full flush. So before I button this up, I will probably reach out to the R&D team over at Eco and see what they recommend. If they put the kibosh on my synthetic grease, or they say use just the regular. So yeah, this looks like it's in good shape. If you look here, see that score mark? We often in the mechanic world, we often look at score marks and wear marks as indicators of things either going right or going wrong. So my interpretation of that is probably shouldn't be there. And I'll show you why I came to that conclusion. So if you look at this old motor, see how this comes off? What happened, and I'm going to dig into this deeper, that's why I'm doing this, is this gear backed off of this axle, and you can see a spot for a snap ring. I'm not sure if the snap ring came off during use, or I'm not sure yet. I'm going to have to dig into it. But if that did happen, that's what, when this backed out, that is indicated by this wear mark, because that gear rotates right below this wear mark. So that tells me that perhaps during one of the jolts or one of the jumps or one of the bumps or whatever, that perhaps I snapped a ring, and then that gear was able to move around, move about, and made this score mark. So as a mechanic, when you start digging into these things, you see that, you have to notice that. Like Sherlock Holmes, like, huh, it's a clue. That tells me, it's probably an issue, so dig into it, see what it is. I just explained kind of my synopsis. That may not be true yet. I'm going to have to verify it. I'll have to see if there's shavings inside. As mentioned before, I am absolutely not faulting the gear or the board. It's part of life. You know, you drive your car, you drive over a nail on the freeway, you're going to get a flat, you know. Don't put oil in your car, it's going to seize up. You know, things. So it's expected things, and you just roll with it. You replace it and you move on. All right, let's get you back into the visuals here and show you kind of. Let's back you off a bit so you can see. If you can see all the spaghetti for the controller, ECM, very small electronics like everything nowadays. I have seen people repair little parts on these, like the resistors and all that. I'm not to that level yet. I'm still of the 90s variant of where the resistor was about that big. So I have to work into that if I ever get to that point, if I ever do have like water damage or something of that nature. But as mentioned before, most of these parts are affordable enough to where hopefully you don't have to dig in that deep. So far, I haven't had any issues because of all the seals and everything that kept moisture and water out. I haven't driven it through a pond like I said someday, but in the meantime, it works fine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and feed this through. This is your seal once again. This should slide on fairly. Let's do one at a time. This is very important to get right, as mentioned, to prevent water damage. I'm going to shrink that a little bit more before I re-engage it, just to make sure it stays in place. And then make sure you put this on the right way. So it's going to engage this way. Very tight tolerance there, but it goes right through. A little bit tough. I'm not going to break it. I'm just going to gently pull it through. Let's see. Okay, there you go. It's got those little nubs right on the side. Very tight tolerances. Good job. I'm going to go ahead and pull that back a little bit, give myself a little bit more room so I can feed those through. And I call that's a mock-up. So now it's mocked up with, I did that wrong. Look at me, right? Did I do that wrong? Yeah, this needs to be flipped. Look at me. See? I got to flip that around. I don't want to damage this plug, but I do need to get it through. So this is going to have to face that way because it's going to have to screw into the ECU. And I put this on wrong too. No, is that right? Yeah, I did it backwards. Got confused there for a second. So let's go, maybe go in reverse. Through, Make sure that's nice and clean. Through. Through. There we go. So this will screw onto your ECM, and then this, you want it to get squished into that little concave area down here. So you want it the short end that way. In there. All right, now that should engage with this nut, and that'll keep your seal right here and keep the moisture out. Along with this seal, they also have a seal on this connection, which also, so it's like a double seal type of thing, and it keeps a better barrier, better moisture barrier for when you're going. Okay. So that is done. I'm going to go ahead and back this down the lead quite a bit because you only need, well, I'm just going to get it out of the way. Oh, no. Did I do it again? Yep, I did. Hey, guys, you're seeing me struggle. Got to take it off. Because guess what I did? I forgot to put this on. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. It's a lot harder when I'm talking and not focusing 100%. Pull that back. Here's your tolerances. That one through. Feed this one through last. Try not to hurt the wires. Come on. Gotta get them all in the right order. See, that green one needs to go over, and then it's flatter, and then it'll match up. I hope I put this on right. Did I go over? Yeah, it should be like that. Oh boy. Struggling here, guys. But the good thing is, the simplicity, I just go back and fix it, you know? I'm not having to worry or change a whole lot. You just kind of, it's like a little puzzle piece. If anybody has to watch this live to do their repair work, I'm sorry. I just had to do a step 3 times over again. All right, so that should go down, settle in, and then that will engage. You have your bolts here, will engage with your motor, and that will keep it attached. Then this will go into my hub, and then this will attach to the board. So during my talking and being distracted, I became lost, and you watched me struggle for 3 minutes. Okay, I'm just going to make sure. So make sure it's the right direction. That's going to go on there. So this will go first. This will be the last time I do this, I promise. All right, there's that. Get your seal back on. I do believe the ET2, which is their other variant, is similar or the same as this. Just a little bit different battery box. but these all kind of are interrelated, same family. So they should react very similar on the repair process. Shrink wrap engaged. All right, so there is the proper setup that I struggled so hard with because I was distracted. So that I call that a mock-up. It's ready to plug. I do need to get the shrink wrap on each lead. Don't forget your pin that goes right here, your locking pin. That's like your God nut as well. That's what people call the one thing that holds everything together. There's a few on this, but that's one thing you want to make sure you get correct. And then I'll go back through before I button everything up and do one final quality check just to make sure. I'll probably let this sit a day and then I'll kind of process it and make sure I didn't forget anything. And then a day after, I'll come back, look at it one more time, do my quality, and then I'll go ahead and take it out for a test. But as you see, that's how that buttons up. Of course, it's not in the hub yet. Here's the hub. All right, let's pull that back out a little bit. Whew. I'm kind of ashamed that I just had to do the same process 4 or 5 times. Ugh. In my mind, I'm like, come on, mechanic, 20 years. But with all new processes, it's just you got to learn, you know. Like was it Robert Frost, the painter, or Happy Little Mistakes? I'm no painter, but happy little mistakes. All right. So next, I'm gonna make sure I didn't forget anything, so I don't have to repeat this. It's a little bit harder when you're talking and then actually performing. So I'm a mechanic. You get in there with the wrench. You're in there. You're focused. You're engaged. You're on the screw, the nut, the widget, whatever you're working on, and you're just doing it. When you're talking, it's like I distract myself. So work in progress here, folks. Hi to everyone again. Peter, Jonathan. Let's see. Hi to everyone. Sean, Stephanie, good to see you. Wes, Matt. I like some of I like all of your content that you create. It's fun to watch people exploring new things. I'm sure that's if Christopher Columbus had a cell phone back in 1618, he would have been creating a lot of content. Instead, almost like chisel and stone back then, he had to wait and then they would publish it in the newspaper and then people would spend 4 hours reading an article about how Christopher Columbus almost got ate by a crocodile in South Florida or something, you know, that nature. So it's the same premise, different time, and I enjoy seeing people and myself exploring new avenues of and new generations of invention and just good things that were coming up with. Because there's so much bad in this world, it's good to see good things. All right, so I'm gonna struggle through this this hub fitting, and once again, I haven't done this before, so bear with me. I hope I don't have to. What you just saw essentially with this last 5-10 minutes was rework, which is when you do a process and you don't get it right the first time, you have to go back and rework it. Companies hate it. It makes your overhead go crazy. It upsets your boss. And it can make your company go belly up if you have too much rework because it hurts your customers. If your customer's expecting AJ squared away, ready to go, and then 5 miles down the road, the bolts fall out the bottom, and then you have to bring it back, that's rework. And then you lose money, you lose time, you lose hours because it's consuming your work. So that's what you just saw, a little indicator of me doing rework because I was distracted. Not nobody's fault. I'm just learning this. So just my micro rework, and it slowed me down 10 minutes. That's a good example of what, if I had a business, and what businesses try to avoid, especially in the mechanic world, is rework. So that's why I'm going to kind of focus in here. I'm going to probably be a little bit quiet as I look. I may not fit the hub today. I'm going to look at it and see how the fitment feels. The tolerance on this hub to where your motor goes in is very tight. While I'm talking here, I'm going to go ahead and clean this out. Let's see how dirty it is. It's pretty dirty. See that? So I should have cleaned that before. So when I get done with this motor, I'm going to go through all. I may want to look at R&D on that. If you see that little, I'll point it out with the screwdriver. See that little indent right there? I'm going to look at that and make sure that's intentional, because that's right where that pin sits. That might be a wear mark. It might be intentional, or it might be from hard use. Because what happens when you do jump these, sometimes when you do land, the tires come sometimes to a kind of a jolt, just like an aircraft. When the aircraft lands, you see the burnt rubber come off the tarmac. Same thing, same premise, and it kind of jolts the internals of the gearing and the drive system, and that could cause that premature wear. So now I just noticed that with you. I'm going to keep an eye on that, and I'm going to look. I'm going to actually probably take a picture of it and send it to R&D, make sure that it's not going to, possibly cause issues down the line with performance, jamming. I don't want jamming. You can see here I'm just cleaning out this snap ring slot. Just found something in there. What is that? Let's look here. Hope it's not a shaving. Okay, so it's a pine needle from Oregon. It helps with lubrication. Pine has pitch in it. Yeah? All right, so I can feel grit in here, but that's, to me, is normal because it's sand. I have run this many times on the beach, even in the surf. Poor thing. All right, so I'm just cleaning out this slot to make sure I get all the grit out. We all know if you have grit in anything that runs with bearings, no bueno. So we're going in and cleaning this. This isn't super important, but might as well while we're in here. I might use some Q-tips on this. Pretty good. I'll probably get a Q-tip later and really get in there. I call it doing a hard reset. Get everything out and then start with everything fresh. That's your best chance for making things last. Yeah, but I am curious about that slot, that keeper slot. I may see about getting a new hub. I don't know. I'll have to talk. So there's a couple things I need to talk to R&D about. Research and development with Eco. Is that? What was the other thing? Something else. Oh, so that, and see if I'm able to use synthetic grease. Because the only thing I'm thinking with synthetic is it might, I don't know if this is true, maybe somebody knows, if over time synthetic will break down and become too viscous, not have a thick enough viscosity. Because if grease gets too runny, it's not going to coat the gears properly. So it might want to run a thicker, I don't know, and make it adhere to the locations where it's actually needed. Because if you think about it, a gas engine's got, oil pump, and then it has little oil zerks that shoot oil directly on the high wear areas of an engine. That's what keeps it, going. With grease, it's kind of meant to just stick and stay in that location and maintain without having a pumping system. I mean, who knows, eventually, if these things get extravagant, you imagine having a board with electric motor drives with an oil pump or a grease pump to keep your gears. I mean, you have to be really ripping to need a system. That'd be overcomplicated, but same premise. That's what we're kind of talking about. But anyway, all right, so that's looking good. But yeah, let's look at this again. So if anybody's on, I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be there. Later on, feel free to comment. And I'm not, this is nothing negative about the company. This is me simply working a product as hard as I can for the simple reason of testing. But I do believe this little divot right there is where the pin wore over time. I could be wrong. We'll check. And it's not like a lock. So what I could do to maybe avoid that location, because the pin, if you look, or a pin may have fallen out, and that may be my issue, is put the pin like so. Actually, it looks like there should be two pins. So there's my issue. Just solved it, guys. So a pin was right there. It spun out, and that jammed. That's what caused this issue. So what I'm going to do later is dig into this and find that pin. And I do believe EcoMobile mentioned that. They said, hey, you probably popped a pin. They know I run these. If you've seen the content, I run these hard. So expect it. So therein lies my issue. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to go look at hubs and probably order me a new hub. So if that's the case, I didn't see that pin in there. I'm going to look again. I don't believe that little pin that holds, maybe it does only fit one pin. See how it goes? I guess it only does fit one pin, so not two, just one. So one pin, I did recover that pin. I'm gonna have to sleep on this one and kind of think about it and do some more investigating with that motor. So no solution yet, no cause, so just keep an open mind. Once I figure it out officially, I'll probably drop it in the comments just for those that do work on these. Don't make fun of me. I'm learning. Try to encourage. Always encourage. Because there's some gentlemen on here that have run these platforms for years. There's one gentleman, I forget his name. He's running my first gen still. He's got thousands of miles on it. And the way he gets it to go that far is by proper maintenance, which is exactly what I'm called corrosion control. As you can see, that will lead to premature wear. So I knew this was on the back burner of having to go through this board and do a reset, like a factory reset of just maintenance. Because I do plan on taking this to Heartland PEV Festival in Ohio in September. All of you, if you can make it, it'd be great to see you. It's a great time, just chill, meet new people, experience new platforms. I think I rode last year probably like 20 different brands of boards and different, different platforms. It's great. Great to do that. Great to chat with people. Some lifelong friendships, you know. We live in a great country. It's great to acclimate with them and spend some quality time and experience and enjoy the hard-fought freedoms that our forefathers, mothers, brothers, sisters have ensured that we get to bathe ourselves in. Okay, so, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and call this right now because I wouldn't want to, just like you wouldn't put a used oil filter on your car. If it's not going to serve the purpose as originally designed, if you look here, I'm kind of doing a test fit now that it's all clean. I am still worried about that divot. Let's call it a divot, because what could happen is that pin, it could allow that pin to do like a slap. So this is front and reverse, this board. And what could happen is, say I go over a hill, get a little bit of air, and when I land, this will have that just enough, that little bit, to offset and disrupt your stability. Because I rely on stability on landing, huge in stability. That goes for anything you really ride. You want that stable platform when you come down. If you have just a little bit of give or wiggle room, that's no bueno. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna look at that, but this is how it would go if I was going to engage. What I would do is I would line up that key slot with your key slot there. See the key slot? So I would line that with this, put the pin in here, and then run it in line with that little key slot. See it? And then I would see how tight the tolerance is? That's good. I may need to get a press. Oh no, it's going to slide in. And then this is just a metal piece around, and what it does is it kind of acts like a spring, and it kind of adds pressure to the hub wall, and it kind of keeps it tight. So I'll probably have to press this in with like a 2x4 and a hammer. Press it in one strike at a time. And then I'm not going to go ahead and engage it because I want to be able to talk to R&D. But it feels like it would, once I'm ready to set it in, it'll go. So that's good. Easy fix. Once I get to that point, I'll probably do another live and show you this platform. Absolutely easy, basic, repairable. Now, I just learned that today. And I'm not bragging, but coming from working on GE F404 jet engines for the F-18s, it's the ones, the Blue Angels, if you're familiar with the jets. It's the ones they run in those jets. I think now they're on the Super Hornet, which is an upgraded version of the engine I used to work on. But when it comes to technicality, it's great. It's a great hobby. So it's very easy to work on. But when you come to an issue like I'm seeing, I would call it abnormal wear, but for me it's normal wear because that's the way I ride it. The company's probably like, oh, EcoMobile, great product. I'm testing it. But anyway, other than that, that's the first issue I've had. And if you look at the new video I put up on YouTube, it's the Heartland footage. It's all the rough stock from last year. This board, this is the board I used to do that big old jump that my friend, here, let me phone him. My friend that Keith, he was filming it. Mr. Keith Beadle, he lives out in Ohio. He's one of the two that runs the Heartland Festival. Bless his heart of gold. He's having some familial issues, so if you do see him online, give him your thoughts. My heart's with you, Keith, with, you know, familial issues when it comes to anything, health, just struggle. My heart's with you because I've been through it, and I'm going through it now. So best of luck with that, and my thoughts are with you every day. But anyway, back to this. So I had this board at that last year, and that's the one I smashed that big old jump on. And it did great. And I did it with a flat tire because I was still running the tubes on the tires. I didn't have the solids yet. Or I think I had them, but I hadn't installed them. And with every new install, I like to put about 500 miles on it before I ratchet up the difficulty of it. So I wasn't ready for these yet. I'd say about 6 months after that, I got these on, I got acclimated to them, and then I was ready. But at that point, I had the tubes, I had the air. And lo and behold, you know, Murphy's Law, my front right got a puncture. So I thought, oh man, I got to the good part of the heartland, we got to the jumps, and I'm not going to be able to do anything. And I started jumping the M24, which is the four-wheel drive without the bindings. But you can't go as high because you have the risk of the board flying free. So I was like, man, I'm kind of disappointed. And then some of the guys were like, just go with your flat. And I was like, you want me to break a leg? So I went and tried it, and I did all that. So if you watch that footage, it's about an hour long. It's of all the platforms and everything. At the end, I think, is where the jumps are shown. It's on YouTube. My handle is pjudd, PJUDD. It's the last video I just uploaded. But that was a fantastic time, and that's probably some of the wear issue was caused during that. And I did the jump with the front right flat, pulled it off. It was a little bit squirrely because it wanted to dive. Just like when in your car, when you get a low tire in your car, it wants to dive to one direction on whichever has the issue. So I had to adjust my riding style for that section that day because of that flat. I tried to patch it, but it's just you got pretty high pressure on the tube, and I just didn't have enough time to get a good seal on it. But all things considered, with a flat tire, performed great. Did all the big air and enjoyed the day. And then as soon as I got home, I put on the solids. Some people gravitate to pneumatic. I absolutely go the other direction. If it's going pneumatic, I'll see it because I don't want that variable in there. Just like with this issue here, before I put that back on, and I'm going to inspect all my others now. Before I put that back on, I want to make sure that I don't have any possibility of a jam, just like with the pneumatics flat tire. I want it to run with max performance, trustability, and strength as I can every time. Okay, well, I think I'm at a little bit of a stopping point here. Let me turn the camera around, show you kind of a close up of what we're working with. We already showed you that that divot there. I don't know if you can see it. See if I can get you zoomed in here. So this is the right. Sorry, this is the left rear tire. So in essence, it kind of makes sense that this tire would take a little bit more of the brunt, because I have noticed in my videos when I jump, I tend to kind of lean back too much, and I'm trying to work on that. It's part of the process. And what I need to flatten out my stance and come at it more at a flat angle, because I notice I'll kind of tilt up and then I'll come down and plant with left rear. So this makes sense. And like I said, I'm working on that. And that could be causation of, I would call this just a wear issue, and it's not bad. It's just part of the process, like I mentioned. There's the new one. Here's the old one. I'm going to go ahead later when I'm off and spray this out with some parts cleaner. What I'll do is I'll bathe this entire thing, get all that old grease out. That's pretty tore up. Good job. I did it. I don't want to say I go out and try to break stuff, but I definitely go out and try and push it to its limit. And if I find the limit and it's safe, I'll go past it. And then that's how you improve things. You know, you didn't wake up yesterday and build a C8 Corvette. You know, took 9 generations. So, good coffee. Okay, well, sorry to bore you. Hi, Laura. Good to see you. This is pretty long. I don't know. I'll have to look how long it is. I don't know what the quality is because my signal's not very well. Thanks for joining me. It's been a pleasure talking to you, with you. Feel free. I'll look at the comments later and probably fill in the gaps. If you have any input, hit me up. I do have some homework to do. As you know, I'm gonna check on the wear. I'm going to check on the grease. And then maybe between now and then, I might pull another motor and just do a little exploration, like a surgeon, exploratory surgeon, and see if the other motors, what shape they're in. Like I mentioned, because I do plant with my left rear, this one probably took the brunt of all that shock. Because when you hit, I try to keep the tires momentum going, just like when you do a jump with a bike, you don't want to stop your wheel and then land because then you'll scroll out and crash. So I try to keep the wheels. I don't necessarily stop the wheels. I don't give it trigger. I just kind of let it float. I take my finger off, let it float, and then when you land, that'll kind of lessen the shock on the drivetrain. And a few times, it doesn't happen every time. I may have accidentally hit the brake, and then when you land, it shocks it, and that's where you would get some of that wear. So these are all things as a rider, and also as working on it. Those are things that I am conscious about: the landing, my angle, and then also making sure I don't shock the drivetrain with a stopped motor, which I guarantee that's the cause. Another difference, and I'm not ragging on anything or anybody or anyone, another difference that I'm used to with wear is a lot of the engines that I worked on have titanium. And I'm not sure titanium, it's too expensive, obviously. It's hard to work with. And it's also brittle. So I'm pretty confident you wouldn't want to run like a titanium rim. You wouldn't want to run steel or iron or anything like that as well because it's heavy. So aluminum is a great choice. If it'd be impossible, well, I shouldn't say impossible. We're shooting rockets around the moon. So if you ever came up with carbon fiber hub, that's a little brittle and probably not quite strong enough for what I'm doing. So as far as using the materials readily available that we have now, great choice, the best choice we have. But like I said, I'm used to using titanium, which has very, very, very good wear patterns over long hours. So if you could get a titanium rim, hit me up. And that isn't brittle and that can go on this platform. Anyway, good chatting with you. Good seeing all of you. Hey, Shob, Mr. Jacob Shob, good to see you, buddy. I'm just about to end here until I can figure out a couple solutions to a growing segment in the micromobility platforms. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all next time.